All right, hey, welcome to this video on strategy. Now, what I want to share with you today is a tool used in strategic management. In other words, it grows a marketing campaign to become more strategic. There's a tool that we call PESTLE analysis. And so really, we've been talking a little bit about strategy, and we've talked about how strategy are things that make you unique. Growing your uniqueness is a great strategic effort. And so PESTLE analysis, and let me spell it out for you. There's a couple of ways to abbreviate it, but PEST analysis is kind of the first thing I'm going to start with, and then I'm going to add the PESTLE on the end to talk about that. All right, so when a company becomes strategic, they're trying to become unique, and sometimes these acronyms are a great way to kind of frame out an opportunity to become unique. PESTLE analysis is an effort that companies might use to try to become unique, and that's by dealing with a few of these variables. The P stands for political. So with any business, a political pressures might guide the way companies operate, for good and for bad. So political pressure is not really something that everyone wants to probably deal with, but political pressure is maybe part of what businesses have to think about in the management of their operation. So how does your company fit in the political environment out there? Again, either direction. But managing the political aspects of a company could be important. Let's look at an energy company. They're probably going to have to always be reacting to and managing political influences that might come their way, whether it be permits or whether it be environmental law and things they need to deal with. Understanding the political environment of a company and where it fits in that area might be an important aspect to becoming unique and managing strategic points of view. Okay, the other thing that PESTLE analysis starts to let you look at, and the E stands for economic values. And so where does your company fit in the economic scheme of what's out there in our society or in the economy? Today, right now, we have inflation as a major concern, and so there are companies that are trying to maybe position themselves to be a good fit, maybe providing an economic relief, or maybe capitalizing on some economic growth that exists out there. These economic considerations are part of your political environment. All right, so what's the S stand for? The S stands for social influence. And so with social environment, we're probably focusing on some trends. There's a lot of businesses that are focusing on social aspects today through social media. It's a mechanism that they can use to maybe push a message out or maybe to manage the messages that are out there. But social influence is very important. I can think of a good example myself. If you own any property and you rent that property, there is a lot of pressure out there to have certain licenses and pay for licenses. And if you don't pay for the license on time, you get fined. And so from a political standpoint, there are some pressures there that I need to understand that more and more folks, especially in some towns, are having trouble with. They can't rent any property at all. In fact, they're tied up in the rental pool for vacation rentals. So it depends on where you are, but in some areas, they're actually trying to maybe try to limit that real estate that people are buying up and turning into vacation rentals. Because if you want to live there and work, there's nowhere to buy. The prices are too expensive to purchase it, and there's too many that are taken up in the rental pool, not for long-term rentals, but short-term rentals. So there's a political aspect if you own property that you have to kind of understand. The economic aspect of owning that property is something you can understand. And in fact, some folks that have done short-term rentals have decided their strategy is to do long-term rentals because they have people that'll pay a decent rent. So from an economic standpoint, they're after that as well. Social, if you've got any rental property, of course, reviews that people have online are important to you. So you have to understand the social impact. And so again, building strategy and looking through PESTLE allows us to kind of manage and become hopefully strategic. The T here stands for technology. And not that my example of the rental property maybe is a perfect one, but in rental properties, that is a exact connection, that if you have to become technological to rent property, you need to worry about Wi-Fi. You really need to worry about how people find you online. And so do you do it through VRBO, Airbnb? Do you develop your own website so that people can directly contact you? I've got a former student that's got rental property, and that's exactly what he has moved to, away from Airbnb and onto their own website, because they get to keep more of the money. They don't have near the commission. They got to deal with their own taxes, and they got to deal with their own licensing, but they get to keep a larger share of the money once they figured all that out. Owning a website on their own and promoting it on their own and having a clientele base that keeps coming back, that's the way they can actually utilize this technology. And it helps them become more strategic, and it helps them keep a larger share of the rental money. So those are just good examples that kind of come to mind. All right, legal and environmental are the other two that have become a real focus. So legal, and I might even also add like risk from lawsuits, managing the legal aspect of your business is important, and one of the ways that you can maintain your strategic and make sure that you manage the company better. I don't know about being unique. This extension on PESTLE is kind of extra. And then finally, the last one here is the environmental aspects of a business. There's a lot of businesses today that promote responsible management of the ecosystem, and that is squarely a strategic effort to try to manage the environmental aspect of their business. If you look at any companies that do anything to do with energy or manufacturing, there's a lot of efforts that they go to talk about reducing their carbon footprint. They promote and utilize environmental benefits to try to promote and make their company look more strategic or make them look more unique. So PESTLE analysis is an example on external influences that a company might deal with. These external influences kind of control the way people view your business, the way they view your operation, and they impact things you have to deal with as a business owner. And so looking through PESTLE analysis is a great way to check off, how are we doing handling the political environment out there? Does that political environment create opportunities for us? Does it create threats for us? Back to SWOT analysis. But the political aspects of what's going on ought to be something a company would worry about so they can maintain strategy. Economic is always up and down, and what's the next economic trend? But those things are always to consider. Social influences have become much larger and things to manage as well. Technology is a great solution source and part of your strategy efforts. And then legal and environmental are the additional aspects of PESTLE. Hopefully this video helps you see a way to utilize this concept and make sure your company is as strategic as it can be. Thanks.